Welcome to the Process Podcast.
From new agent to broker owner.
My name is Travis Myrtle. This is my co-host, Preston Guyton. Welcome to the Process Podcast. Preston, how you doing today?
Good, man. Doing great.
Did you get those miles in today?
3.5 miles this morning.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Preston, we have a great guest today. His name is Martin Pettigrew, owner of Monarch Roofing, the Riva Initiative, and recently has written a book called The Roofing Machine. Martin, how you doing today?
Doing great, man. And I think we came up, Patrick, you and I, with a new name for Preston Goggins. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I call him Preston Goggins now. He's found his newfound passion for running. He signed up for a half marathon, and I think within a year he's going to be hooked. And he and I are going to do an ultra marathon. I think.
Done.
No newfound passion for me at all. It was terrible this morning. It'll be terrible tomorrow. So,
but you committed to it.
Yeah, I got to do it now.
I love it. Martin, tell us about you. So you and Preston know each other. You guys kind of go way back. How do you and Preston know each other?
Yeah, through construction. And just to let you know, he told me yesterday he's going to run the half marathon in October, so I signed up as well. So he's a great influencer on me, to everything I've done in my life. Introduced me to a lot of great mentor, a lot of great software and things like Follow Up Boss that we implemented last couple years ago. So we know Preston since 2012, I think.
10.
Yes, beginning of Monarch Roofing.
Before you could speak English.
I still can't. So
well, tell us that story. Obviously, you grew up a French Canadian.
Yep.
And we were talking a little bit before we recorded. I went to college in Plattsburgh, New York. So I went to college right on that border where a lot of French Canadians come down, and as college kids, we would go up, right? Because the young drinking age up there. And is it still a young drinking age up there?
Yeah, Quebec is 18, and the rest of the country is 19.
Yeah. So tell us the story. How did you, from Quebec, how did you get to the United States?
Great question. Long story short, Travis, I played a lot of golf when I was growing up, and I got an opportunity to move away from home when I was 13 years old. Practicing, I started playing golf at 12, but I qualified to play golf, and the school was incredible. We only had school in the morning from 8:30 to 11:30, and every afternoon we play golf or sports. It was golf, it was hockey, any sports you can imagine. So the environment, I don't know if you ever read the book Outliers.
I have read Malcolm Gladwell, right?
Yes,
yeah,
unbelievable. But he's talking about the environment with kids growing up, talk about hockey in Canada, but that's how it was. I really, like, when I read the book, I'm like, it was me, because the environment was so perfect to become good at any sports. And then I got a scholarship to play golf in United States. That was my dream growing up. And I got a scholarship to play golf in NCAA Division I, which was even better than I could have ever expected. But I had one problem. I didn't speak English. So I was really good at golf. I moved away again. It was 5 hours away from my hometown when I was 13. So kind of gradually understood what it was like to be on my own at a young age. Even though I had a host family and everything was fine. But and then I was an exchange student to learn English for 1 year. And then I went to college. And then after that, I moved to Myrtle Beach.
Where'd you go to college? Where was that?
St. Francis University in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Right.
So you got there and didn't know any English at all?
I went to high school first. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know any English at all then. It was, French Canadian. My mom, my dad don't speak any English. I mean, I'll take it back. I had some English from school.
Okay. What did you do to refine that? Like, how did you? I'm always fascinated when people learn, because obviously it's almost like it's your primary language now, right? So what did you do to learn English? What was your?
Don't pick on me. I'm still learning for sure. I think one of the biggest advantage was to be in the environment. Again, it all goes back to this. And I think leadership, you can talk about this, how we can provide tools to succeed in environment, leadership to your team to grow. And I think that's one of the most important part. When you're surrounded with people that only speak English, I need to communicate with people, right? So I had to force myself to speak English. But every night, I remember I was in high school, every night I would go home, I would be so exhausted because my brain was just trying to understand every single words. But being in an environment helped a lot. And college was very helpful, even though I still have an accent, but I was able to understand the words, like how they spelled, so I can pronounce them better. Like right now, and I don't think I get an accent. I'm start thinking about it now. It's gonna be worse, but I don't know what words I'm not saying properly.
Right.
So, but college was really helpful because once you start reading, understanding, and writing, then my English got 10 times better.
That, you hear that a lot too, like immersion, like full immersion is the best way to learn. You hear people going to they're in college and then they go to, countries where they speak a different language, and that's where they learn the most.
Yeah.
My brother did this actually. He did I think it was 3 weeks in Fredericton in Canada. He speaks only French, and he was there 3 weeks. He came back and he speaks as good as English as I did.
Oh, that's incredible. And then so you got to Myrtle Beach. What year was that, Martin?
2006, 2007.
About the same time I moved to Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
And what did you do when you got to Myrtle Beach? What'd that look like?
So I was still all minded for golf. My whole life at that point for the last almost 8 years was just golf, golf, golf. So I moved here for golf. I was working at Pine Lakes, the grandfather, granddaddy, sorry.
Granddaddy.
Yeah. The granddaddy for a while. And then, Travis, I was making $6.90 an hour, working the golf course, parking carts, and even working inside the pro shop. I was broke. I couldn't make means. So I had to get a second job. And my passion for, and I really, this is a little bit language for leadership. I know, Preston, you're big on this, but my passion for the goal was not there anymore. Golf. I knew I could not make it to the PGA Tour. And my goal was to play golf in the United States. In college, I've done that already. And I didn't really have another vision for my golf game. So I was kind of lost for about a year. So I had to make means. So I started working at night, parking cars at a local club here. And then I would see these guys, they would park. They had this nice Hummer, this F-250 diesel. That's 2007 when the economy was really good.
Right.
And I started hanging out with them, asking them what they were doing. They were all contractor. They were siding, drywall, anything construction. And it got me that curiosity. I'm like, how are you so successful? Like, to me, it was like they were rock stars. They have so much money. They're doing so well.
Yeah.
And I can barely pay my rent because I'm making $6.90 plus parking cars a night, working 2 jobs. I don't play golf anymore, just work all the time. And they were all contractor. And then what I couldn't understand, I said, how can you be at the club till 2, 3 in the morning? And I don't know too much about construction then, like you, Preston, you don't have a construction background, right? So I didn't understand much, but I knew that contractors start early and they finish real late at night, right? So I'm like, okay. So I asked him, how do you get up in the morning? And that was my first trigger to create fuel in my life or my mission. They said, we don't care if we get up in the morning or serve people, because if we get fired from the job, we'll go to another one. We'll find another roofing, another contractor to work for, because there's so much work out there.
Yeah.
That's 2007.
That's like the old saying, good markets create bad habits.
Yeah. And they were showing up with a bicycle in 2009.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. The economy crashed and all those guys, they all disappeared. Everybody was coming to club. Again, we hear this in roofing, like big state that have a lot of storm damage. They'll do so well. There's so much, like Colorado right now, they're going through this a little bit. They get so used to go through storm, it's almost easy. It's so much work, hell, and insurance pays for it. When it stopped, now it's been 2 years since having really a major storm, so they're all like starting to do other things, to do solar, but they're not as active. Like the brain gets lazy a little bit.
Are they? Do you still have those companies that travel a lot when there is a storm? Because I know that happened here, like basically storm chasers for roofing.
Yeah, there was a lot. I was very popular for a long time, but I think it's going away a little bit. There's still some, but I think the model is great, but it's not sustainable. That's the problem. Your turnover is really high. Unless you can keep finding salesmen to door, and it's not sustainable.
What's interesting is you see that same pattern in real estate, right? Real estate, I think we're coming out of a time where it was quote unquote easy. Business came to agents very easily. Right. People basically knocked on agents' doors to do business with them. Now agents are in a position where you have to go find people, right? You have to like proactively have those conversations. And I think that's where agents start to struggle. And you've been in real estate long enough, Preston. You've seen those patterns.
Yeah.
And it's funny that same pattern happens across other businesses.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when money gets too easy to make and they don't, it's not built on like patterns and consistency. And then all of a sudden that goes away and they got to go back and do the things they've never done. A majority of them won't do it.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether you're in real estate, roofing, or whatever. I mean, when it comes easy, and you hear that phrase, easy come, easy go.
Right.
Whether it's money, business, or whatever, if you're not willing to put in the work, it won't come back.
I think, that's a great point. And when we started, that was kind of the mission to start was I had nothing, right? So it was like, it's always so hard. It was so many hours, and it's always hard. But the reflex we got from the first couple of years and losing money and being a disaster, I don't know if I could have done it with a family or it was just me. So my cost was really low. But the reflex I got, I'm wired for it now. It's hard to undo it a little bit. So
yeah, I remember firing Martin one time. Because he originally was Monarch Construction before roofing. And you framed one house for me. I'm like, you're never, ever framing a house for me. You'll do every single roof I ever build. but you never framed the house for me. And you're like, I'm not framing anymore anyway.
Yeah, we're
Because
done.
it was, yeah, it was, and it was the same thing, right? Finding good framers and keeping them employed and, finding good help.
And
And that was what,
for just give
2010?
you an idea for roofing, and this is a sound a little crazy, but framing and drywall and painting, if you want to scale it, it's a little harder because a contractor or homeowner, they come and see they have drywall, the paint is done, they can pick out things, right? So we always have to come back, and I always had to come back to inspect the property. And homeowner, they were like, Martin, I need to see you, and framing is complicated because you have a lot of straps, bolts, every
Oh,
hole
yeah.
is different.
And it takes a lot longer.
And roofing, with GAF, like the manufacturer, you can get a warranty from the manufacturer. You don't have to worry about me. And then really, when's the last time you saw a homeowner go on the roof, right? So
Yeah.
I hate to talk like this. Quality is the number one priority. It's got to be done properly, but we're professionals, so we want to do it right. So we can scale that. I think that's why roofing, I don't know if you hear things like this, but it's getting attractive for a lot of companies from outside. There's a lot of private equity coming in right now,
Yeah.
especially with technology. The roof measurements is done a lot easier now. We can do Zoom right now with like follow-up boss. Follow-up inside sales is becoming a big thing. So the country is shrinking really rapidly. We've never seen that before.
So basically by trial and error in the construction industry, you kind of found your niche in roofing.
Yeah, and that's something that, again, I look up for Preston for a long time because he taught me a lot of different things to, like, I didn't really have any mentors. And that's something that I love millennials for that, okay? Because a lot of people talk trash on millennials, but I love because they're so interested and they want to learn so much.
They do.
When we do event with Riva, like there's so many young people, they're there like, please tell me. Back then I was like, no, I'll do it myself. I'll figure it out, and if you're trying to get information locally, it's hard because they're competitors. Like they might tell you some things, but they're not really going to tell you everything.
Right.
With Preston was awesome because we're in different trades. He wanted me to be better because, like, Martin, I need you to do my roof better and become a better business person, so I don't have to worry about the roof anymore. So he was helping, and that was great. But going to events was probably the most important part of my growth. Is to how do you learn? You learn from books you read and people you meet.
That's right.
And a lot of books from Traction, Rocket Fuel that you introduced me to. That I built business a lot around it. E-Myth.
So taking a step back a little bit in your story, you were parking cars, you saw these guys going out a bit, staying out too late, the economy shifted. And how'd that attract you to start a roofing business?
So it was to serve. And I think a lot of people, and back then I could not be like, I want to make money. Could not have been that. I had to be a mission. And I think it relates to everything we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're just trying to make money in your real estate right now, you're probably on an island somewhere, right? Because it's been pretty easy.
You
Right?
think about it this way, and I shared this in one of the previous podcasts. Like for me, I just focus on making an impact. The money will come. Like for a long time, I chased money, and you're never going to catch money. But when you focus on impacting people, the money always comes. And like Riva Impact, I'm sure that's taken off for you. That started in what, December?
Yeah, it's been in the making for 3 years. It used to be, we started like with Monarch Brands, it was called. So our goal 3 years ago was to create a franchise of Monarch Roofing and spread it across the country. But then by late last year, we're like, all right, are we being selfish right now? Because the process works, the procedure works, the mission, we can really impact, we can duplicate it now. But if I do one place at a time,
Takes too long.
Takes too long, but I'm not really serving. The mission is to get homeowners what they deserve, the best installation, warranties, and services. So it's the same mission with Riva, except I can talk to hundreds of contractors. I can go to 50 states. So it's the same mission, but it's 10x now. And it's not, again, if it was about the money, like we're fine on money. Like we have 3 locations. It's awesome. Charleston is right there. We could go to Charleston. There's other location, but I think there's a bigger mission there than just money.
So with Riva, is it basically you took roofing and made it like a franchisable system? Is that what the mission behind Riva is?
Yeah, we got a lot of success by implementing the structure, the process, procedure, training, and the recruiting process. We've made it as a science basically, so we can create. Hilton Head was based on this. Wilmington's the same thing. Myrtle Beach is 95% that as well because it was already existing. So it's hard to completely change in the business that's already existing, but it's duplicable now. So we beta tested in 3 locations. So it's working. And we went, like our sales went from 17 million 3 years ago. We did 17, then 25 and 43 million last year. So by the implementation of the structure, the proper structure, process, procedure, recruiting, it's exploding.
That's great. So, and I think that's wild to think about. So you started a business. Basically, I say the start of your business was parking cars and meeting these people.
Yeah, you're right. That was the trigger.
You got into a construction business and you'd never done construction before. No background in roofing construction. I heard you talk about a story of the first roof you did. So tell me that. There's a metal roof.
First metal roof. Yes. Lesson learned, like it was not glamorous, man. People would say like, wow, man, you did this. I want to start my roofing company. I'm like, it's going to be a lot of pains to start a business, but it was really painful for a lot of years. And it really took us 4 years to realize that we just want to do roofing. Find one thing, another great book that you got me to read by Gary Keller, the One Thing. Awesome. But yeah, the first roof, it's a metal roof. I'm all excited, Travis. I'm calling my brother in Canada. He's a pharmaceutical rep. He's doing very well in Canada. Him and my mom called me like, Mark, why don't you move back to Canada? Like, you can be a rep. You love golfing. You can just play golf with doctors all the time. Like, yeah, I like it. But I'm like, I think I see a little light in the tunnel with this construction thing. There's a big miss. There's a big need and a void in the industry. So, and then we get this job, $33,000. So excited. It's in Conway. And we get the job done. Again, I call my brother. I'm like, bro, we just hit the jackpot. That's it. I figured it out. It cost us $38,000. Labor, material only, no overhead and gas and everything else to get it done. So I had to work a lot more nights. But it taught me a lot of things. I knew after that job how to measure, properly metal roof, but how to price metal roof. And how to build a relationship with suppliers, because now I had to go see suppliers that have no money. Like, you can do whatever you want, but if you put a lien or anything, like I own nothing. So, but we start making payments every week from parking cars at night. Every Monday we come by and just it helps a lot of how to connect with people and build relationships.
I loved your outlook when I heard you tell that story. That it was a lesson, right? Basically, it was a $5,000 lesson that you then took and say, hey, I'm never going to let that happen again. And I think a lot of people, they get into business and they hit something like that and they get frustrated. And that's it. They throw their hands up and that's the white flag. And hey, I got to go do something else. You took that and said, no, this is a lesson. I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to get better at what I do. And I think I thought it was pretty cool to hear you tell that story, that's what it made you do.
In Travis, pushing one step further, I think business is like this. Like, if it's really hard to get in, like right now we see solar, it's a little bit difficult to get in. I don't know if you heard a little bit about, but a lot of companies are trying to get in, but it's so hard to pull permits. You need engineering, you need so many things, NAPSET, there's so many barrier of entry. I like it. I'm like, okay, that's where I want to be. If there's a need customer wants solar and then it's really hard to get in, we talk about like, and I'm going to relate to roofing. I don't know if it's like this in real estate, but some states in the country, you don't need a license to do roofing. So you don't need like here, you need a state license, you need a business license locally, but state license, you have to go some tests. So there's a little bit of a barrier of entry for roofing. But imagine if you're a realtor, you can sell whatever you want to everyone, but some states are like this. Same thing in real estate, or?
Some people argue that the barrier of entry is too low in real estate. I've definitely heard that.
Yeah. I mean, every state you have to be licensed. The difference is like South Carolina is one of the lowest as far as the amount of hours you got to have to become licensed. Like for me, like growing Easy Home Search, I've gotten licensed in Georgia. Looking at getting licensed in Virginia. To get licensed in Virginia, I got to do so many extra hours. Ohio, I think is 150 hours, where South Carolina is 60.
How do you do that in Ohio? You have to
actually travel to do it.
No way.
Yeah.
150 hours.
Yeah, it's not 100, it's 150 to get it. So I think the additional hours is roughly 90. I think that you can do it in phases, but I'm not going to do it. So there's too many other states. There's too many other states. Like, next we'll go to Florida and then Virginia and Tennessee, and those are easier to get into, where, Ohio was more of kind of being in that market because there's a lot of people that buy from Ohio down here. So that was the whole idea there. But no, we're not doing that anytime soon.
That's a little bit like the follow-up boss introduction to us. It took me almost a year to master it because it's all for real estate, right? I love that. It took us 6 months to get all our templates in there to understand it, another 6 months to master it because some of the automatic was not.
And then do you still have it mastered? Come in and see me, and what happens?
Yeah. He introduced me to a few new things, like, I didn't know we could do that. But yeah, but it's I know nobody else is spending the time to do it. There's no way. If you're business, it's so hard. If you're a business owner and you're working in your business, you don't have time. The only reason why I was able to do that because we had a general manager on all the location, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, and Wilmington. So my job was to build that follow-up bus.
Yeah.
If not, that's impossible. And nobody else could really done it. I couldn't hire somebody from the outside because the templates, I knew the process so much,
Yeah.
that
Yeah, and that's same, relates to like SEO and building websites and doing things like that. Like somebody asked me yesterday, they're like, why don't you hire somebody else to do these things? I'm like, because one, they don't care as much as I do, and they don't know how to do it. And for me to train somebody and teach somebody, and that's why I get up at 4 a.m. is to do those things in the morning. And when you do that, compound that day after day, week after week, I mean, those hours, it would be impossible for me to hire somebody to do it.
I think it's key with both of you guys. Preston, you do a good job of this. You hire people that are good at what you're not.
Yeah.
And I think you have as a business owner, as a visionary, you have to have a lot of self-awareness, and a lot of people don't have that, right?
Well, in trusting somebody else to do it, we always say delegate and elevate.
Right.
You delegate duties to people, and then you elevate their position. So, being able to do that and pick leadership, when we started Palms, it was early on, we wanted head of agent training and development. Then you came along and Josh and Nick were like, oh my God, we're hiring all these positions, and we just opened 3 months ago, whatever. But you hire for 6 months from now, not for today. So you look at where you want to be and you hire, and it might be when you look at like your P&L and you're like, oh God, I'm hiring this amount of salary and this thing right now. But you look at that, like the salary, you're not paying all that out at once. So when you're planning for growth, you got to look at where you want to be in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and hire based on where you're going, not where you are today.
Right.
Yeah, it might be a few years that a lot of employees make more than you. And that's how it was for the longest time. And we didn't get to, like you're saying, hiring people that are better. It was like, wait, I'm giving you numbers. Like it was really at 5-6 million that were like, all right, I really need somebody that's really good at this. Then we could afford them, because before that, there's not enough. There's really no money, but unless you get a loan or something else. But
yeah,
it's a hard work.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with CRG. When I started CRG, I didn't have loans. I just did, learned estimating, had those bad experiences building houses and lost money on, and go to the next one and learn a lesson. So when you jump in like that and you don't know, I mean, you got to learn estimating, you got to learn all those things. I remember when we got our first big oceanfront. It's fine.
Say, like you didn't do like small homes,
no,
$10 million homes.
Randy Hall's house, which was, I think we started building that in 2010. And that was our first oceanfront house that was 6,500 heated square feet, 9 or 10,000 under roof.
On stilts.
Yeah, on pilings.
So, Martin, so you started the company basically out of the trunk of your car. You started learning a little bit, found your niche in roofing, and then you started to take a turn in your business. I've heard you say it here, and I've heard you say it other times, where you just wanted to start to differentiate yourself, because roofing is competitive, right? There's a lot of people in that industry. Talk about that. Like, what did you do to start to separate from the pack? Like, where did you really start to focus where you felt most roofing companies weren't?
Okay, well, first, when you say like I started out my car, like when we started, I was literally looking up to the guy who was a chuck in the truck with a magnet. And like, man, I want to be like this one day, because before I met you, I had a Cadillac. So I was Marty in a caddy. So I was starting from the bottom of the bottom, all right?
So the goal was to be Chuck in the truck.
Yeah, like, wow. So I started from nothing. So we can learn. And that's a gift, really, to learn. It's hard. And people always say like everybody wants easy button, right? We're built for this, or brain is wired for this. We want to that's why we don't like to work out, because it's, am I going to have enough energy to make it through the day? That's your brain's trying to survive, right?
Yeah.
So to change that, but yeah, that was the beginning. Differentiators, man, that's a great question. Trying to do something, learn from other companies, and I remember the first in 2012 when I met you, we interviewed all the manufacturer for roofing to select one. It was we interviewed 5, and GAF was so incredible, the manufacturer, because when we met with the rep, he started talking about the warranties. We can do a 50-year non-prorated for the homeowner. And there was nobody in the area really that was doing it, except for one big roofing company, Span, that was like, they were 25 million then. It's probably more now, but they were doing it. I'm like, my gosh, I want to become like them. So we got to start somewhere. I'm like, I want to be different than everybody else. You have to look up somebody that's doing it better. See, okay, how can I get to that level?
Right.
So we can pass it. But like, I think one of the biggest things is professionalism, and it still goes to today. It doesn't change. Like the way, level one, the way you look, your truck, your guys, they're all similar. The mission, the core values. in really the inside sales revolution through that's a big thing. Estimating inside sales and outside sales. I don't see many companies doing this because we can be so a bit like the approach of Jeff Bezos.
Right.
It's customer obsession through innovation and long-term decision, but we're so much faster than. And I know I'm not. There's other companies that are really fast too, but we focus on being faster. We don't want to do, I'm going to meet with you and I'm going to check your roof, measure your roof. And then tomorrow I'll come back and present you an estimate. And then you're going to call me back to see if you want to go with us. I want to meet with you and give you an estimate right away. So we don't waste time. Time is so valuable for everybody.
Right.
So really shrinking the time period from the call in to the estimate.
What you eliminate, I assume, and my thought is you eliminate competition by taking away that time.
Yeah, and people don't want to meet 3-4, especially when COVID happened. Like they don't want to meet 3-4 contractor. They want to meet one contractor. You're about my price range. I like you. Your warranties are awesome. I'm going with you. We can build trust rapport with you. That made a big difference for us for sure. In the I heard this before. They said the under promise and over deliver.
Yes.
We say, okay, let's over promise and over deliver by doing the super service of inside sales. And that's what you guys are preaching. That's what you're practicing with inside sales. There's so many touch with homeowner before we get to even meet the person, create a lot of celebrity effect. By the time our salesmen come to your door, you're like, hey man, how you been? Like just when I saw you this morning, like, hey Travis, how you doing?
Yeah.
But I've never met you before. Like, it's because of the podcast you have, right?
Right.
But you got this into my mind. So we over promise, like people were already feeling like and then the production comes in and then we over deliver. You got to do the right production.
And the one thing that I'll say about Martin is they've always focused on customer experience, going above and beyond. Like that was really, early on focusing when you were going out and meeting with the people and doing all those things. It was always about customer experience and like you said, over delivering on that customer experience. So I think that's, obviously roofing is, how do you separate yourself? I think early on, that's what it was, the relationships you built, not only with homeowners, with contractors, a great person, a great individual. And, when people talk to you, you're humble and just delivering on that customer experience, I think was, something early on that started separating yourself. And then obviously as that grew and evolved, your company's evolved as well.
I think that's pretty interesting too. I mean, that correlates with real estate quite a bit too, because you got to think, I always focus on like, what are human needs? And one of them is certainty. And where people get frustrated with salespeople or service people is they have to call the service person to get an answer, or like, hey, Martin came and saw me and I didn't hear from him for a week. Right. And so you've eliminated that by, hey, I have these people that are going to reach out to them throughout the whole process and keep them in the loop of what's going on in their house. And I had a realtor ask me this question last week, like, hey, a closing got delayed. It's got delayed for a week. These people were getting super frustrated. And I said, well, slow down for a second. Think why they're getting frustrated. They're frustrated because there's a lot of uncertainty in their life right now. What you can do as a realtor, whether you have the answer or not, just start over communicate, like literally communicate with them every single day. Even if you don't have the information, just check on them. Yeah, just check on them.
That's all it takes. It's just communication is when you don't communicate and you hide from confrontation, which is really not confrontation. Usually if you communicate, you're not going to have confrontation because they understand. Like most people, they understand things happen, and right. As long as you communicate every day and you see it even more so in the mortgage business, like with things happening and everything else, as long as you communicate and communicate daily, and like I said, over communicate, those issues won't come up. It's when you hide and, don't answer the phone calls and don't answer the text messages, and go to your broker, be like, oh my God, what do I just talk to them? Right. That's all you got to do is talk to them. And 99% of the time it'll be okay.
Yeah. I even told that agent, I said, even if you don't have an update, just say, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything that you guys need in the meantime? That right there, you're eliminating where people get frustrated is when I have to go call Martin to find out what's going on with my roof. Yeah. That's when people get frustrated.
What are you doing today? I'm just helping you for your closing. That's all I'm doing today. I just want to let you know that, right?
Yeah.
Pay attention to them.
People know you care.
In roofing, like we have this big problem. Exactly what you're talking about. But a lot of times we say like it's not a people problem, it's a system problem. So our outside salesmen were so busy. There's so many people they're meeting, and then they're on the roof. So you can't pick up your phone when you're on the roof. You come off the roof, you meet a homeowner for an hour. You cannot pick up your phone and do text message, email. So they would get back home at, let's say 7-8 o'clock at night. They got email, text, get some information. Like half the team is not working anymore. The estimators are not in. They can't get the estimate. So the inside sales solve so much follow up, and then just getting little things done. So the crumbs, we call it, they don't accumulate at the end of the day. But I don't know, do you real estate? I know you do this with a little bit with your process with inside sales, or somebody that can keep this on, or is it really
Yeah,
separate?
no. So with us, inside sales is, there's qualifying things that they got to get before they pass them off to an agent.
It's on the
Uh,
front end. It's almost on the marketing
Front end,
side.
yeah. But then if you got to think about it, though, most online buyers buying in our market, a lot of times they start searching 18 months before they buy, like on average. So when you have somebody in inside sales that kind of can reach out, answer those questions that aren't realtor questions that have to go to a real estate agent, they could be information on the area or just more simple questions. But we also need to understand that people that don't live real estate every day, they don't know these things that a lot of times we think everybody knows because we live it, breathe it every single day. So yeah, that's what they do. They take care of a lot of those questions before they need to go to an agent. And when they're handed off to an agent, they're qualified, they're ready to go. A lot of times buying within, we've had some come in buying within a week, or some come in buying in 3 months or 6 months, whatever
Is
it
there
is.
such things like when it's getting to the outside realtor? I call that like outside because you'll feel a bit more.
Mhm.
You have somebody that works inside with a team. I know that I've seen teams in real estate agent. Is that
Yeah.
something, or it's
Yeah.
really they can handle everything?
Well, we have we have an inside sales manager who basically hands off. So they're kind of the one that hands off between the inside sales and the realtor. So they're the one that's in that phase of it. But no, as far as teams, I mean, that's like, you mean like real estate teams?
Yeah, like let's say give you a lead. So
Mhm.
you're the person that you're the agent.
Mhm.
So now you go see the homeowner, you give him let's go check out. I got 5 houses I want to shoot you today, and then we go shoot you 5 homes.
Oh yeah,
But
that happens all the time.
your phone keeps ringing, your text message. Do you have somebody internal that would be like, okay, I'm going to handle
I
all
mean,
the
well,
rest?
usually, I mean, realtors aren't on, 8, 12 pitch roofs. So, it's not as, yeah, it's not as dangerous for them to send a text message or, if their phone's probably on vibrate or whatever, they look at it and somebody's called. It's not bad for them to say to the client, hey, I need to step away for a minute and make a phone call. Do you mind? And most times clients will be like, no, we don't mind. So yeah, it's a little bit different because they're not, they're not strapped to a roof or have harnesses on and everything else. But the inside sales more helps on the front end.
Yep, love it.
Martin, I've heard you use the phrase. I've heard Preston use it too, so we're going to discuss it. Take the con out of
I
contractor.
came from him. Okay.
Okay, that was my first question because I've heard both of you guys use the phrase. I had to know who originated it. But talk about what's that mean to you, and how did you apply that to your business?
Yeah, and then looking back, that's a little bit of story about working at night and working at the golf course. Is like these guys were not doing what's right, so really taking the con out of contractor. I want only have great contractors in the industry. I think it's certainly like when I'm thinking about, okay, imagine if that contractor would go see and give an estimate to my mom, like, oh my gosh, that cannot happen. This guy's gonna be out. And it's kind of crazy to talk about fuel, Travis. Like, if I don't know, if I got, whenever I was going to the office, when we had an office, because when I met you, I was out of my apartment. But when I was driving to the office, I would see cars in the road, like, oh my gosh, somebody else is waking up before me. So tomorrow I'm going to be 10 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier. So like, if you go to the office at 5:30, there's not many people in the office, right, on the road. So, but the same thing, I have this feeling, it doesn't matter who I see that's a roofing contractor, they're good or not, but especially the ones that are like the truck in the truck, we'll say. But every time I see one, I'm like, gosh, guys, we gotta get so much better because this person must have sold a roof because he's still in business. So there's something we gotta do better. So it's fuel to me to keep going hard.
So I feel like you view competition as a healthy thing, right?
Yeah, but it's fuel for sure.
Sure.
Like, and I know we can never, like, this thought to have no competition is impossible.
Right.
And it's probably healthy hear this, but I don't really care about this. I just use it as my fuel. Like, okay, what are they doing to be better? Because they're obviously doing something. Same thing with GAF. There's some events every year. It's called the Wealth Builder. So it's all master elite contractor, the best of the best for GAF. And we get all together. They're all different, but every person that's there does something special that they're probably doing better than you because they're the elite. Even though the business can be smaller or bigger, it doesn't matter. So you can learn from others.
And that's something that's really huge for us too, is like to get out of this little fishbowl
Yes.
and see other companies across the country. I mean, that's been huge for me through the years, getting out of this fishbowl and seeing, because most people need to see it to believe it. Like, if I'll just do it. But most people need to see it to believe it. And, getting outside of this market and going to other markets, and like you said, going to this, I mean, there's probably roofing companies that they're doing what, over 100 million,
Yeah. There's
so,
monsters for sure.
seeing those things and seeing what's possible and understanding what's possible, then you come back to your market and try to implement those things and look at growing it and continue to grow.
Well, talk about company culture, Martin. One thing I saw, obviously, I do a lot of research on people before they come on the show. I saw where you did a thing. I guess you have employees that have their own vehicle within the company, right? I saw a thing where some of them are wrapped specifically to, like, you put the Monarch Roofing wrapping on them, but it's also like personalized to that employee. Talk about that, because I thought that was like one of the coolest things I saw.
So Travis, if you had one, it would have Army on it, and
Yeah.
have somebody run the marathon.
Heck yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
what
that-
David
I'm gonna
Goggins.
bring. Yeah.
that-
Preston. We'll put Preston on your truck. I promise.
It'd be me flexing on your truck.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring this idea to Preston for my Palms mobile. But talk about that, because I thought that was really cool. And like, what made you do that? Why do you do that?
All right, so okay, so step on branding. Step one, we keep the Monarch Roofing logo is still there, is the same. There's a lot of resemblance with all of them, but we have some special edition, like you said. Like, if there's one employee that's a Marine, we're gonna wrap it into a Marine theme or Army, whatever the branch was, to honor our heroes. Really big on this. We do roof for troops. We donate roofs. Every single branch donates at least one roof every year to veteran, and it's not even the veteran in need. It's just say thank you. Like, you need a Travis, you need a roof, we're gonna put you in the area to get a new roof. It's not because a lot of veterans, they don't really ask for anything, right?
Right.
Very proud. It's different generation, we call them, but they're amazing, man. So but yeah, we'll do different wrap, very specific for each person. Each truck has something different. They look the same from if you go see them fast, but they're always something different. But to relate to the culture, okay, we said people they don't work for you, you work for them.
Mhm.
So I want to honor our employees that work hard. Let's build something that's special. Again, it's not about me. I'm not ego. I don't need any attention. I don't know too much about hormones, but I read this. It's called oxytocin. So he said if something that is, it creates an hormone, if you can have some emotion, it creates energy into the human body and the bonding between two people. So I'm keep thinking about Stephanie, because we wrap her.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah,
Really, yeah.
we were at our SUV, and it was her, but our mom was going through cancer. So they made a pack about the dragon fly. So they had dragonfly on her tattoo on himself, because it's a sign of hope.
Mhm.
So we wrapped her. It was her on the side, and then like a cartoon character with the dragonfly. And then when she saw that, like this, she's going through a very emotional part of her life. She got in tears. It was very emotional. And again, when you can do this with your employees, and they're not in an aisle, right? They're all employees. The bond that's created to the company, to what we're doing, the passion, it's, it fuels. And then again, we can fulfill a mission. A mission still, we got to provide homeowner what they deserve the best. If we believe that our duty, because we know we believe we're better than anybody else, our duty is to sell roof. So whatever we can do to create more momentum for the company, to increase sales, there's more opportunities for everybody to grow within the company.
Right.
So we can create more opportunities. And again, if we can fuel people, you can get the right people on the board. It's on the bus. It's great, but we got to keep it going. And that's worked for us, every single one of them. There's never been one that is not happy or excited about it. So
Yeah, I thought that was a very cool thing that I saw. And I think it's just a phenomenal example of what I call servant leadership, right? You said that you work for them. And I think you absolutely saw that. Like, just the emotion, the video it's on YouTube. I think I saw the video. Just the level of emotion. It was like real. It wasn't like canned, like, hey, our company's the greatest. It was like I got emotional watching. I was like, man, that's cool.
I did too.
Like, I wanted to go throw a roof on a house after watching that. But
Yeah, you see that often too. Like, Martin will share things, and like, I know I saw something a couple weeks ago. You gave somebody a cell phone, like a new iPhone 13. So that's something that is the norm with what you do. It's not something that he just does. I mean, you do it often, things like that.
yeah, and I got a quick story I can tell you about this. It was parking cars. Okay, the mindset for this came from parking cars. You learn lessons everywhere you're talking about. But this one guy, okay, it's bike week. There's bikes everywhere. There's no place anywhere to park cars. And this guy's coming with his car. He said, I want to park right there. And the front door is right here. And he said, I want to park right there. There's no way, like, bikes are everywhere. I can't do anything. He's like, man, I need you to park my car right here, and I'm going to give you $100. Like, Okay, I don't care. I can't park your car there. I'm gonna get fired. He's like, all right. And then he gets this, he saw in my face like I'm not committed to it. So he gets $100 out. I'm like, all right, a little bit more committed, but I'm still like, unless you give it to me right now, my mom. Like, and he goes like this, I'm gonna give it to you. And he looks in my eyes, I'm like, okay, maybe. He's like, you know what? I don't think you're gonna give it to me. He'll rip it in half. Like, gives me half. I'm like, now I really gotta park his car there somehow. And $100 to park a car 2 feet.
Yeah.
That's good, the good wage. So he came back out and he didn't give me the other 100 part. I'm just kidding. He gave me the other part, so I get $100 out of it. But let's
So you had to tape it together.
yeah, I got to tape it together. So go to bank. What do? You're breaking the federal law or something, right? So, but the lesson here is this: what you're talking about. People were so like leadership. I've seen this mistake a lot. It worked for me. I don't know if it works for everybody else, but we wait for the employees to do something good. Hey, want that salesman starting doing great? Maybe we wrap his truck. He's got to earn it. If you hire people, you got to believe in them, right? It was so throughout their recruiting. I'm hiring people. I'm going to give them all the tools to succeed. And then when they're going to perform, they don't perform, they're the wrong people. If they abuse because we give them an iPhone or a truck, they abuse it, they're the wrong people. Let them go.
Right.
But give them so they can be, wow, you really trust me, Travis. That's incredible. Thank you so much. There is so much energy coming, the momentum so positive. Stay away from cortisol, for adrenaline, all this. It's got to be positive all the time.
Yeah.
And people tell me, Martin, you're so positive. It's not about positivity. You feel outstanding all the time, yes, but it's about positive results. When you start winning, somebody's excited about work, they're going to go a little extra hard. They're going to make that extra phone call. We're going to start winning, sell more roofs, more better installation. So everybody, it's like playing, you ever watched the Ryder Cup, right? You watch a golf tournament, it's great. You watch the Ryder Cup, the team that wins, they're jumping around. You never seen like golfers jumping around, you're so excited to hug each other because they're winning, right? And you see the other team, what they're doing, they're crying. So I don't know. I think that was my analogy, that see like, okay, give out front, don't wait for them to do good things. Believe in your team.
Yeah, and that's infectious too.
Yeah, and also doing that, in recruiting as well. Obviously not giving stuff out before they get there, but they'll know how it feels before they come on board. So give them that experience, before they actually come on board. And it's kind of the same thing where, give them the experience of being a part of the company before they're even there. That's something we do and try to do pretty similar in the recruiting process and all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's almost, there's a lot of times they're not getting that support where they are. I've had agents reach out to me from other companies and ask me questions, right? It's almost like a question they would ask their broker owner or something like that. And it's like, you're giving them that value to show them that experience before they get here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I saw this somewhere. It was saying like somebody that makes over, it probably changed now with inflation, but they said that about $65,000. Money is not the number one thing. They want to have like some time off. They can manage the job. The job description is not so overwhelming. Like they have 2-3 things that they're responsible for. They get a great culture. They have a growth opportunity. I think they're looking for that more than the financial side.
And people want to feel valued too. And I think that's kind of what you talked about, like kind of valuing them on the front side. Like, hey, we see all this potential in you. That's, people want to feel important. They want to feel, hey, wow, Martin is the owner of the company. He just took all that time to do whatever. Like people are going to pay that back, or pay that forward, whatever that looks like. Yep. I think that's important. Talk to me about The Roofing Machine, Martin. That's a book you wrote. How long ago did you write that book?
Oh, it took me a little while to write it, but I realized my English is not as good as I want to. But it was about a year and a half ago I started, and it took me about 4 months, really 3 months to write it, and then publish it took a couple months. Yes, but it came out in December.
So talk about that book. What inspired it, and what's it entail?
So one question: Did it have to did it have to be edited at all when you finished it?
Nope.
Straight to
in
French.
We just translated in Spanish. Actually, it's not out yet, but it's in Spanish now.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was in English. It's not in French yet. It's coming out in French. I promise. Now, made a promise. Just we talk talk is cheap. Everybody wants to help. Like, what do you do to help the real estate industry? You help a lot. You donate your time, like I know you get some payments for that, your time, but you have really helped impacting the industry.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And it's like sharing. I mean, when we share, like you said earlier, you're worried about sharing stuff to competition, but at the end of the day, like with Riva Impact, you realize a lot of times you share a lot of things. If you share all these things, how many people are really going to go through the pain to implement them?
Right.
Go through the
It's the hardest
pain, the
part.
steps, the time, and everything else. So for me, like people ask me, why do you share all these things? I'm like, because I want to help. I do want to help the industry, but I also realize that, I mean, how many people are actually going to take the time to do it?
Yeah, yes, and in the book, it's a lot of time. And again, I'm like, okay, what can I do? When I told my wife about this, she started laughing. She's like, Martin, you don't even speak English. How are you gonna write a book now? And you're working 80 hours a week. When you gonna do it? So there was a lot of late night, and I'm not a good writer. Like I don't really. So it takes a little bit of time to get in the momentum, the zone. But yeah, it was really to impact the industry to teach my story about how we became successful. And I know hopefully somebody reads it and there's a couple of roofing books, but really I'm teaching a lot of hows in that book. Like there's actual structure, what your business should look at 3, 6, 12 million. Like it's almost too much. Sometimes I feel like, because there's a lot of information. It's a small book. It's only 20 pages, easy to read. It's on Amazon, by the way. You can get it. It's free if you have a Kindle account. And then if you have
I have a copy.
Yeah. You have a copy, yes.
So really, it's you view that book as a framework if you were interested in starting that type of business.
Yeah, and I feel like we're all like contractors, especially. You talk about this, like we compare ourselves with where we see in the area. We're all courageous, but we tend to comply with other people. Where this book is like, okay, it's different from what I know there's other companies that do this or even better, that's for sure, but it gives a different aspect of how it should be done. And that's why it's so powerful. Like, don't comply with what you see, because there's so much 1099s door-to-door aspect. We don't really push that much. We want to build your business that's sustainable, that you can duplicate in other location if you want to, but it's like the model of a franchise.
That's great. And that, I assume, led to what we mentioned earlier, the Riva impact.
Yeah, in Riva, like Monarch Roofing brands, we start coaching all 3 locations through this, and then we changed the name. We actually made it public to everybody. We trained Monarch Roofing, it's working, beta tested. Like, all right, what's our next step? Let's go 50 states. Let's start a new company, and it didn't take too long. We're just coming up with a name and really make it to other people. Now it's available. What we do, teach process, procedure, really everything to build your business.
So how did y'all come up with Riva?
Riva is a guiding star. So we're trying to guide roofing contractors with roofing.
I like that. I heard a story too. My final question for you. I heard a story too. Where'd you come up with the name Monarch?
Monarch, it's what'd you hear about this story?
A story I heard is you didn't know what to call your company. So you started Googling stuff. And okay, I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, no, sorry. It was a FedEx Skin Coast here in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
So I just went there and started Googling names, and I'm like, okay, totally stereotyping contractor. I don't know what we're looking for, but I'm looking, okay, they're contractors, not homeowners. So contractors are usually stereotyping they're Italian, Italian. So I put into Google Translator, the best, and I put a couple names in there, but it was really quick. It was like 5 minutes. The best, and I put the king, and then Monarch came in Italian. So I started reading, it said monarchy, kings. Like, that's perfect. That's what I want to be. The best of roofing, monarchs. And then the crown came out from this.
Yeah.
So it was Monarch Construction at first. When we started, a lot of evolution. It was actually black and white, and then we introduced the blue because we always wear blue shirts.
Martin, if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, they had questions about Riva, the roofing machine, just questions about business in general, what's the best way somebody could contact you?
LinkedIn is great. If you go on LinkedIn, you can find me, Martin Pettigrew, or the Roofing Machine. On Instagram would probably be best with Riva Impact or Monarch Roofing, but Riva Impact's probably the best, or Facebook, same thing.
All right. Preston, you have anything else?
Sure, man.
Martin, I appreciate it, man. This was great. I don't necessarily need to help with business, but my golf game is terrible. Would you help me be a better golfer?
Talk to this guy.
Not me either.
All right, guys. Appreciate you listening to the Process Podcast. Have a great week. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.